Hi folks, welcome back to MetaBox Tutorials. In this video, we're going to delve into translating custom field values for two objects, user and taxonomy, with the help of the WordPress multilingual plugin. It is known as WPML for short. Using a translation plugin is an optimal choice to build multilingual websites. And WPML is one of the plugins trusted by the WordPress community. We have had a blog about translating custom fields created with MetaBox using this WPML. So, today, for more tutorials on the compatibility of MetaBox and WPML, let's find out how to translate custom field values for users and taxonomies. I have a singular page, along with information about its author. On the page, this information is stored in custom fields created with MetaBox, then translated by WPML. When you change the language, the content will be changed to the corresponding one. In another case, you also can translate the field value of a category or custom taxonomy like this. Before going ahead, we'll check some tools we need in this practice. First, we use the WPML Multilingual CMS to create and manage multilingual websites on the WordPress platform easily. It helps translate the basic content of your WordPress, such as posts, pages, menus, and notifications. Next, WPML String Translation allows you to translate text strings from your theme and plugins on your site, as well as special content in posts, pages, taxonomy, and tagline. In addition, you also need to have the MetaBox Core plugin to have a framework to create the custom fields and custom taxonomy. It's available on WordPress.org. Moreover, we'll need some advanced features from MetaBox extensions. You can download them individually or use MetaBox all-in-one to have them all. Here they are. MB Custom Post Types and Custom Taxonomies, to create a custom post type and custom taxonomy in the case that you don't use the default. MB Term Meta, to add custom fields to taxonomies. MB User Meta, to add custom fields to a user profile. Meta Box Builder, to have a UI in the backend to create the custom fields visually. Furthermore, there are some other extensions you may want to use to have the appropriate structure of the custom fields, such as tab, group, and conditional logic. You can install them as you need. That's all. Before translating any object with WPML, you need to set up languages that you want to have on the site. Go to WPML, Languages. On this screen, you can manage both the default language and custom languages. Click here to add more languages. WPML supports 65 languages, which is the most popular in the world in this list. Just check languages that fit your site. Then, on the admin bar, you can see the enabled languages for your site. Now, it's time to move to the main parts of this tutorial. I suppose that you have had some fields for users already. In the case that you haven't had any field, just follow another tutorial on this channel to know how to do it in detail. Here I'm creating some fields just for illustration. This is data I input into custom fields for each user. Now, we'll translate them in the languages which we chose before. As I mentioned before, besides the basic content, we'll use the WPML String Translation plugin to translate content in user meta. Go to the WPML menu, choose String Translation. This table includes all the strings that come from the different themes and plugins on our site. However, the fields created with MetaBox are not in this table automatically, because they haven't been recognized as strings. By default, WPML can translate only basic fields of the user, such as the name and description. To make the custom ones translatable, we need to convert them to strings first, then translate those strings. We should add code to the themes file for this step. I'm using a hook to declare the custom fields for users. This hook is provided by the WPML. This is the ID of the field we want to convert to strings. You can convert one by one field by adding separate filters, or list them all in a line as you can see here. But then, you should assign the fields to an array. Now, back to the string translation screen in WPML. Before searching for any field ID to check if it has been converted to a string or not, you should scroll down to this section. We'll regularize the role of the users which we want to translate. Then, you can see our fields in the table along with their values. It means that the WPML plugin has recognized them as strings already. Now, translating these values becomes a simpler task. Click on the plus icon below the flag of the language you want to add a translated version for each value. Add the translation to this box. Do it one by one for each value. It's the same with the other fields. Finishing this step, please be noticed that you have just added translation versions for the values of each field. They are now available in the backend, but not on the front end. Your website visitors cannot see them now. You should take one more step for that. First, we should display the field's values as the same as when the website has only one language. You can use any tools or plugins that support displaying content on the front end. You can watch some other tutorials on this channel to know how. Since I have the MB Views plugin that is included in the MetaBox package, I'll use it. Go to Views in MetaBox and create a new view. It should be remembered that this is a typical step for any website displaying the values of custom fields on the front end. Click on this button. Then choose the field from the drop-down list on the sidebar. Since the fields are for users, you should look for it in the User tab. It includes the default fields and custom fields. Just select the field you want to get data as usual. Also, set the type and location of this template as any place on your website, or save it as a shortcode, then you can embed it in any place as well. On the front end, the information saved in the fields is displayed already, but in the original values that correspond to the default language. I'll modify the created template a little bit to make this section more beautiful. Back to the created view. Add some div tag, classes, and a heading. This function is to get the values of the specified fields by this ID, but only the one corresponding to the current post, specified by the author ID. I also add CSS to style the section. Back to the page. The section's style is better. In the normal case that you have only one language on your site, that's done to display custom fields values at this moment. However, your website is now having more than one language, so you should display all the translation versions of them. Then, when visitors see the page in another language, they also can see the matching language version of the field's values. But look, there is nothing on the page to change the language to another one, so you cannot see other translation versions, even when they are already existing. You should regulate the location for the language switcher on this page now. Go to Languages in the WPML menu. Scroll down to this section. Create a new menu language switcher. Choose a menu of your website that you want the switcher to be on. There are also some other settings for this switcher on this window. Just configure it as you want. Back to the page. The switcher is available on the primary menu already. Now, when you change the language on this switcher, the content of the author section is also switched to exactly the translation version that you input in the previous step. There is a remark here. The switcher displays only the languages the post has the translation version. Then, there is no way to display the translation of the field values in other languages that the post doesn't have. One more important notice. Even when you do everything following the above instruction, only the users who you regulated in this section can display the translated information. If you uncheck any type of user, when you see the author section on the post where those users wrote, there is no translation for this section. The information is kept intact in the original language, although you turn the page to another language. So, make sure you check all the boxes of the user types you want to translate. That's all. Translating custom field values for taxonomies is quite easier than custom fields of users. I'll do it with an example as categories. I have had some basic custom fields for it. I also input some data into them for some terms. You also can see that there are 3 tabs, since I have 3 languages for this site. But there hasn't been any translation versions for Italian and Russian yet. To translate those values, first, we should make the post, taxonomy, and custom field to be translatable. Go to the Settings submenu in WPML. Scroll to the Custom Term Meta Translation section. You can enable any term meta to be translatable, including the custom fields. Search for the field ID one by one. and choose the Translate option. Next, you will see that the posts is selected to be translatable by default. But if your taxonomy is for any custom post type, just look for that post type and check the box. And the last one, go to this section to turn on the translation feature for the taxonomy. It also listed all the taxonomy on the site. Just choose the one having the custom fields we want to translate. We've done with the settings. Move to the Taxonomy Translation submenu and select the taxonomy from the drop-down list to translate it. WPML will list all the terms of that taxonomy on the screen and also provide a column to add translation versions for each language. Click on this button to add the translation. Not only the custom fields of the taxonomy display to translate now, but also all the term information such as name, slug, and description are available. Just input translations for them one by one. Now, in the Taxonomy admin page, these numbers turn to other ones. Click on each tab to see the translation versions. You will see all the value input to the fields are turned to the corresponding language version automatically. Similar to displaying the custom user meta, I'll use MB views to display category information on the front end. Go to Meta Box, Views, and create a new view to have a template to display the term meta. Go to a post. You will see the categories section displayed with the original language. Since I have added the language switcher on the menu, I can turn this page to another language. Then, we can see the translation version of the term meta as well. There are two notices the same with displaying the value of fields for use. 1. We should add the language switcher somewhere on the page. 2. The translation of the fields for taxonomy is also available on the page, only when the post has the translation for that language. That's the end of today's tutorial. If you want to learn more about how to play around with MetaBox and its compatibility, please watch other tutorials on this channel. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to us for more tutorials. Bye.